Hello, and welcome to Stories from the View, a podcast from the Pleasant View Senior Center in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. On this podcast, we invite East Longmeadow residents to tell us stories about their lives and events, and today's guest is Kaylee Shaw. She's an intern from Springfield College who has been volunteering here at the Senior Center for a number of months. And so here is your host, Mary Jenowyn Kaplan.
Thank you, Eric. And welcome, Kaylee. Thank you for coming to join us today.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Eric, for having me.
We have a lot of people that come and go through our Pleasant View Senior Center. And you've been here for 4 months. You come about 10 hours a week, but you have made quite an impression. So we're pretty excited to hear your story today, as much or as little as you choose. So where are you from, Kaylee? How did it all start?
So I was born in Burlington, Vermont, in September of 2002.
2002.
Do you guys remember that year?
I do.
That's good.
It wasn't that long ago.
I don't remember that year. I don't have any memories from that year. But yeah, so I was born in Burlington, Vermont. I'm not a resident of East Longmeadow, but I'm glad you guys chose me. So I have lived in Vermont my whole life. I lived in Burlington for a while. We moved to Colchester, and by we I mean me and my mom. It was just me and my mom for about 6 years. So we moved from Burlington to Colchester, and then my mom had my little brother, and then it was me, my mom, and my little brother. We moved to Milton. I moved around a lot. And then...
Was that Milton, Vermont?
Milton, Vermont.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've lived in Milton for, I want to say since like 2010. So since I was about 8. I really liked it there. It was a nice small town. I made a lot of friends. Let's see, what else? Oh, and then in 2012, my mom married her current husband. And
love.
We welcomed a stepbrother into the family because he already had a son. So now it's me, my mom, my stepdad, and then my 2 little brothers. Little brothers. They're so fun. And then, let's see.
Well, what year did you graduate high school?
Oh, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what high school did you graduate from?
I graduated from Milton High School.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I graduated, it was COVID. So the last half of my senior year was all virtual online. Mm-hmm. And then we were actually able to have a small graduation ceremony. It was like a strange like drive-through style.
Oh.
So they broke us up into like, we had a class of about 100 kids, so it was pretty small, but they broke us up into like 4 different sections. And so we were all in our cars and we drove like from the back of the school into the parking lot where they had a stage set up. And everyone had to remain in their cars. And then the graduate, so me and my peers, we stood in front of our parents' cars and waited for them to call our name. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I don't know, that was my first time graduating from anything. So that's all I know.
But so then you had to walk to get your certificate, or they have like a golf cart bring it to you?
Yeah, so we walked from our cars up onto the stage, and we were all wearing masks and everything, and we weren't allowed to shake our teachers' hands. We were allowed to like wave from a distance. Mm-hmm. Like,
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for educating me. Like, I don't know. It was strange because usually you walk down the line and you shake all of your teachers' hands.
Right.
But we just like waved from afar. They snapped a picture of us with our diploma and our mask. I should have brought the picture in to show you guys. And then we got back in our cars and we drove off.
And how did you find your way to lovely Springfield, Massachusetts and Springfield College?
Okay. So junior year, I did some college tours. And actually, I didn't tell you guys about this part of my family. So I left this part out, but I knew we would get here somehow. My biological father had 2 children before me with another woman. And so I have an older brother and an older sister. And I'm not too like involved with my father, like no bad blood or anything. I just don't talk to him. But my mom and my older sibling's mom, they're really close. So they kept us sort of connected through the years. And my older sibling's mom, Tina, she lives in Greenfield, Massachusetts. So my sister, Lauren, she went to Keene State for a little bit. She went to Greenfield Community College, and then she graduated from Westfield State. So she kind of like was in the area. And when I told her I was touring colleges, she sort of suggested Springfield College, Western New England, UMass Amherst, and I think I toured a couple in Boston. So I knew that
You did some research.
Yeah.
That's good.
I did. I knew I wanted to be like a little bit away from home, but I'm 3.5 hours away. So I'm close enough. Like if I wanted to go home on a long weekend or, Christmas and Thanksgiving, spring break is easy because I'm not too far, but I didn't want to be so close that like I just hung out with my family and didn't make any friends because I'm sort of shy. So I feel like I needed to just fully like submerge myself and like, force myself to make friends.
You gave yourself the college experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So what attracted you to Springfield College? It was the distance.
Yes.
And what else?
When I went on the tour, I just had this feeling and I was like, it was the first tour I went on. And I said to my mom after we got in the car, I said, I really like that one. Do I really have to tour other schools or can I just choose that one? And I don't know, it just had like a home sort of feel to it. Like the tour guide was like saying hi to everyone. She knew everyone she walked by. And I was like, I like the sort of small feel, like the community that I saw happening when I was on the tour. And it just made me really happy. And then, yeah, so.
Fabulous. And you've been there 4 years.
I have. I've been there all 4 years.
And you got to actually go to college. You didn't have to do it remote.
Yeah, well, the first year was sort of hybrid. So I had like a biology lab and a physical education class that were sort of in person. But my other lectures were over Zoom.
But you were on campus or?
Yes, I was on campus.
Oh, so at least you were here.
Yes, yeah. I was. And we were testing for COVID every week, which was a unique college experience that I got to have.
Great.
We would, every week we had like a set time and day that we meaning my floor mates and I, we were a very close-knit group because
you were all together.
We kind of had to. We were there all the time, all hours of the day. We went to the dining hall, Cheney Hall, together every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so we would all walk to the health, or what is it called? The health center, and do our COVID nose swab and walk back together. It was
kind of like your class schedule.
Yeah.
Like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and once a week COVID test.
Interesting. Yeah. So it was, we were just testing and then waited for it to come back negative. And while we were waiting for it to come back negative, we were all like so scared. We were like, oh, is anyone going to be positive? Like, oh no. But, we dealt with that as it came. We quarantined if we needed to. It was, yeah.
And the years have passed.
They have, and now we don't have to wear masks or anything anymore.
Isn't it nice?
It is. I like the fresh air.
So tell me more about your Springfield College experience, classes, activities. What stands out in your mind now that you're a senior?
Ooh, the last year. So I actually started Springfield College as a biology major. And then I'm going to blame it on Zoom University, but I failed chemistry. Yeah.
We're getting like true confessions here. I like this. Yeah.
Well, chemistry is tough.
It is hard.
It's
and
tough.
You weren't there, really.
Right. Yeah, it was hard. It was an 8 a.m. class, and here's another confession. Sometimes I did it from my bed.
In her jammies.
In my jammies. In my warm blankie. And I think I fell asleep one time.
Yeah, I'm getting the picture here that this was not, it wasn't capturing you and engaging you.
Definitely not.
Mm-mm.
No, and I could blame it on so many things, but I could have done better. But anyway, so I was a biology major, didn't pass chemistry. I was like a little lost for a minute. I was like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Because even when I was a biology major, I was thinking maybe a biology teacher of some sort.
Mm.
But then my roommate sophomore year, she introduced me to health science. And she was like, I want to be a physical therapist, but I'm just like a health science major for now, because she wasn't quite sure. So I was like, okay, that could be fun. And I switched over to the health science major, and I took an intro to healthcare class. And it was a lot of fun. The way that the class was set up was we had someone from a lot of different healthcare professions, almost every week. They would come in and they would do a presentation on what their career is, what they do on
So, for instance.
Yeah. For example, occupational therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We
Who knows
had
what that is? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can explain it a little bit. I'm sort of interested in that. Maybe. I don't know. I still don't know. So we had an occupational therapist, or actually I think we had two from the school, because they have a
OT department.
OT department at the college. They came in and they brought this bag of what I thought was a bag of toys or something. And so they kind of explained to us that an occupational therapist helps literally anyone that needs help with daily activities of living, I think they're called.
Yeah. ADLs.
Yes,
Yeah.
ADLs.
Good work.
IADLs. It's coming back to me. So yeah, they sort of did their presentation through these tools that they help people use to get dressed, to get out of bed, to use the restroom and things like that. So how they did it was super cool. They kind of handed everyone in the class this little tool, and we're like, do you know what people use this for? Or so we were kind of trying to figure it out. We were stretching the bands, and there was some person that had one of those shoe horns, and I've seen those before, but they were like, what am I? They're trying to scratch their back with it, and then they sort of explained how each of these tools help or can help an individual with a certain injury or something. So that was super cool. And we had an athletic trainer, we had a physician's assistant, we had a physical therapist, we had a chiropractor come in.
So all sorts of things.
Yeah, it was a really fun class, but going in, I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. But after that class, I was like, oh, there's so many more things.
It opened your eyes.
It did. It really did. And it's made the decision much more difficult because now I'm interested in so many different things.
Rats. Choices.
I know.
Welcome to adulthood. Kaylee, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, my.
So that class, the Intro to Healthcare class, was very eye-opening. And I enjoyed that thoroughly.
What a hoot. That's great. And yet somehow you've ended up with a gerontology concentration certificate. Yeah, really.
If I get it.
Okay. So
there's
it's one of the things you're pursuing.
Yeah. So last year, junior year, I took a class with a professor who started this gerontology certificate program. And at the time, I was sort of looking at minors to kind of fill up the rest of my credits for senior year. And I was looking and I was like, I don't really like any of these. But then I found out about the gerontology certificate program and I was like, oh, this could be cool. So I took a class called Perspectives on Aging and I really enjoyed it. It was, what is the word for it? It was like interesting and like nothing I had ever learned about before.
You were in a different land.
Yeah. It was almost, it was like a new language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world, Kaylee. Yes.
And so I really enjoyed that class. And then I decided to pursue the gerontology certificate. And so when you do like a minor or even a major or whatever, you have like certain classes you have to take, but then you have some flexibility with it. So this certificate, there was a class, the Perspectives on Aging class that I had to take, but then there was also the community experience in gerontology, which is what I'm doing here. So I took that class, and then the next step was to do my community experience of sort of, just learn by watching and participating and, yeah. And then there are these other 3 classes that were required, but I was told that they were spring semester only classes. And so I was like, okay, let me take community experience and 3 other classes for my health science major in the fall. And then I'll take the last class that I need for my health science major in the spring and the other 3 classes for the gerontology certificate in the spring. So that gives me 4 classes each semester, 12 credits each semester, which is all I need to graduate, which is pretty good. It's a pretty laid back year. So I thought.
Uh-oh. Can you cue the Jaws theme song? Do, 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 do. So
I want to say like mid to late October, I had my advising meeting, which you have one every semester to prepare you for what classes you're signing up for next semester and to just talk with your advisor about your future, which is also scary. So when I met with her, she informed me that 2 of the 3 spring only classes, one of them was switched to fall only, which I don't have another fall semester. And then the other one was just discontinued completely.
Wow.
So,
Plan B.
Yes, Plan B. She suggested that I do an independent study of 6 credits to sort of fill those classes. And I was like, okay, what is an independent study? What does one do during that independent study? So she suggested that either I stay here and do some more learning or I find somewhere else like an assisted living or, just something different than a senior center. And then she said, if I figure out like where I want to go or what I want to do, just to let her know, and she would figure the rest out. So I talked with Erin, and she said, we would love to have you back here. Like, everyone here loves you. We were so excited to have you. And so I went back to my advisor, told her, I want to stay at the senior center if possible. And she said, yeah, of course. Like, we can definitely make that happen. And now today is technically the last day of classes for the semester.
Right. This is your grand finale, but maybe not.
Yeah, because Monday and Tuesday or Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but I don't have an exam Wednesday. That's our exam week. So I've been emailing my advisor, and I've visited her office a couple times just to ask, where are we in the process of what I'm doing next semester? And she said that we're just waiting for an answer from the registrar. So.
Oh, so you're still kind of on pins and needles.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if the registrar is working over the holiday or semester break. So I don't know when I'm supposed to get an answer, and I kind of need these credits to graduate.
Yeah. Well, the clock is ticking.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I don't get the 6 credits to graduate, or if I don't get the 6 credits for gerontology certificate, I don't get the certificate.
Yeah.
So
why do I have a feeling that this is all going to work out?
It will work out, though I do want to go storm the registrar's office.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
excuse me, my name is Mary.
Yeah.
I have a friend.
It's none of my business, but
what are you doing and where are you doing
exactly,
it? So looking back again on the 4 months here, you had the theory. You took the philosophy of aging. What was the name of that? Perspectives of aging.
The long term was interdisciplinary perspectives on aging.
Interdisciplinary perspectives on aging. And then you came into the community experience. Did it match? Did they teach you the truth? Were you surprised? How did it come together?
Yeah. So I took that class before the summer. And then the summer happened. And I kind of forgot what I learned. Or some of
this is like an expose. I love
some of what I learned anyway. But
president of Springfield College, do not listen to this.
Yes, let's block her from.
No, Mary Beth Cooper. Yeah. Okay, we got it.
Anyway, so I forgot some of it, but it's cool how we have a page that we use for all of our classes called Brightspace. And so we can see all the past courses that we've taken. And if the professor doesn't close the class, we can go back and look at like the lecture slides and things like that.
How clever.
It's pretty cool. So I was able to go back in the class and sort of refresh my memory on what we learned. And we learned sort of through different theories of aging. So there was one that stood out to me. It was called Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory.
I feel like I should sit up straighter.
Yeah. Be
Tell
taking
us
notes
more about the Bronfenbrenner. Blah, blah, blah.
So this model, if I were to show you a picture of it, it sort of looks like an onion because it has a lot of layers. And so in the middle is the individual, and then the next layer is the microsystem, which is sort of like all of the immediate relationship, or like the closest relationships to the individual. And this doesn't only apply to the aging population. It can apply to anyone, children, me, whoever, which I thought was sort of cool. So there's like the microsystem, and then their next layer is the mesosystem. And that is sort of how the relationships in your microsystem are connected, sort of. So, for example, if you go to church every Sunday, every Sunday or whatever day you go to church, like if you go there with your family's also in your microsystem and how that sort of connects. And then the next layer is the exosystem. And those are sort of larger things that affect your life that you can't control. So like social media, politics,
community connections, what's going on with your housing,
social services, things like that. And then the next layer is the macro system, which is even larger things like societal movements or wars or the pandemic, for example.
Yes. Yeah. Good example.
But I really liked that theory because it's sort of one that like when you're just meeting a person or like after 4 months of knowing someone, you can kind of like put that together a little bit and you can see like where you fit into their little system. And then I sort of ran a couple of activities while I was here. And my most recent one, I did 3 mindfulness sessions. And then the last mindfulness session, it was about loneliness. And so I thought that maybe I could tie that theory in, and I taught, sort of what it was. And then I had everyone that was there fill out their own sort of Bronfenbrenner map. So I thought that maybe they could look at that and see, what they have.
Because appreciate the people in their lives and their connections.
And it may be like you don't really think of that all the time. But I thought that, for me, I don't know how they felt about it, but I thought I like writing things down and seeing them written. That kind of helps me, especially with to-do lists and things like that. But maybe there are some relationships that you don't think about all the time that maybe I could like bring more present into their mind, maybe. And then we did some like little mindfulness videos. That was fun.
Do you practice mindfulness, or how did you like? Did Erin like think of something? How did you do this?
Actually, on campus, there's a club called Minds in Motion, and that was kind of where I got the idea to do all of this. Minds in Motion is sort of like a mental health club, and so I've struggled a little bit with mental health, some like anxiety stuff. Just from being at school, being away from home, the changes and things like that. And one of my roommates actually told me about this club, and so I joined it, and I really liked it. And so I sort of based those mindfulness sessions off of this club. So what we would do is we would all get together, and some weeks you would have larger groups than others, but I made a lot of connections there, and I really liked that because I was sort of shy and I didn't really join anything until like last year. Also, I feel like
and you spent the freshman year in your room.
Isolated.
There wasn't many things to join.
Small dorm room where I could reach my roommate from her bed. Anyway, so it was sort of hard for me. But last year I joined Minds in Motion and I really liked it, but it was structured in a way that was like, I thought was very cool. So we would sort of get together and they would, the facilitators, or what are they called? We'll just call them facilitators. That's fine. They would sort of bring us through these exercises to like break us out of our shell and get talking to new people. And so one thing that we always did was a sort of icebreaker or check-in. And so I had one of those in each of my mindfulness sessions, and I kind of tied it to the topic. So I talked about stress for the first one. So I had everyone introduce themselves and say, challenged by choice, they didn't have to if they didn't want to, but say one thing that they were stressed about or something that they do when they're stressed. And I thought that was cool to just sort of hear what other people do or hear what other people are stressed about. Maybe it's same, maybe it's similar, or maybe it's different.
And were our seniors interested in sharing?
They
Did
were
do?
actually. So I said you could answer either question, but I shared myself first, and then I gave an answer for both, and then everyone shared both. So I thought that was really good. And then about 5 of them gave the same answer to what they sort of stress about, and so I feel like that helped them see that they're not alone. And so I feel like that was sort of part of the mindfulness. And then in that one, I created a mindfulness bingo.
Bingo.
I love bingo.
As do many of our folks here. So that's good.
Yeah. We play bingo at school, and the prizes are pretty good. Sometimes there's iPads.
Oh.
Yeah. There's microwaves, TVs. Sometimes bingo is a lot of fun. I love bingo. So I did a sort of mindfulness bingo where I created all these squares, and each of them had like a different sort of exercise that you could do while you were seated.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one that was like stretch your arms or something like that. So everyone just like did their own sort of stretch. And then there was like some take a deep breath. There was different breathing techniques. So we like did each of those little mindfulness practices in our seat. And then I let them take home their little bingo board. And then for the next session, the anxiety one, I was like, hey guys, how's it going? Did anyone use their little mindfulness bingo? And some of them said that they put it on their fridge and they look at it just to get some ideas sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
It warmed my heart to hear that like they did look at it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's how teachers feel when I do my homework or when I study.
Yes, you're getting through. That's great. Anything else you want to talk about with your experiences here with us?
I guess, just one other thing I want to share. I am very grateful that you guys like accepted me so quickly, and everyone was just so friendly and kind. And I don't know, even my first day, I was sort of nervous coming in, but then as soon as I got here, like all of my worries sort of went away when all of the ladies in the office were just so kind to me and welcoming. And yeah, I just really appreciate the community feel.
I have heard from others that, and all senior centers are different.
Right. I've heard.
One thing that we are known for here is that it's a very, very nice place. I'm sure other places are nice enough, but this is just a very nice place. And, you stepped right up and you help out and you do stuff. You also made centerpieces.
Oh, yes. Flower arrangement centerpieces.
Yeah. And friendship bracelets. And, you've answered phones and done it all. Oh, and of course, played chair volleyball, the pinnacle of your experience here.
Yes.
I also have been a part of the age-friendly and dementia-friendly task force.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually having our last listening session today at 12:45.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Come on by, have some ice cream,
Yeah.
share your thoughts, because people are listening.
Mm-hmm.
That is fabulous.
Yeah.
So you're going to be graduating.
I am in May, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think you're going to do after graduation?
What's next? I'm planning on going back home to Vermont. I have talked to someone from the state of Vermont Department of Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living.
Mm-hmm.
So just sort of looking at maybe getting a career in the aging field and seeing what happens next. Another interest of mine is I've looked at the UVM Doctor of occupational therapy program.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to save my money for that. Graduate school is expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, get a job, start somewhere, and see what happens. Go with the flow.
That's a plan.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's great. Yeah. Well, very good. Well, we're hoping that you will be back next semester. Sounds like you will.
I hope so.
I think it's all going to work out. Yeah. So, well, thank you very much for coming in and being on the show. We sure do appreciate it. And I guess, I don't know, did you have any other questions?
Nope. This is time for any parting words,
Right.
any advice for those out in podcast land who may be listening.
Young lady, old.
I guess, this was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. I don't really listen to podcasts, but this was fun. Definitely, yeah.
Good.
It is great fun for us because we hear such wonderful things from all sorts of people.
So many stories.
We haven't had a dud yet.
No, we really haven't.
But thank you for coming, Kaylee. We just appreciate your stories. Hope we'll see your face again. And
Okay.
that's a wrap.
All right. Well, thanks, Mary. That wraps up another episode of Stories from the View. We'd like to thank Kaylee Shaw for being here today. Kaylee's from Springfield College. The Stories of the View from the View podcast is available on the LCAT 01028 channel on YouTube, and we're also on Spotify. If you have a story you'd like to share on the program, contact Pleasant View Senior Center Director Aaron Kobler by stopping by the Pleasant View Senior Center or by calling Aaron, 413-525-5436, extension 1401, or send Aaron an email, aaron.kobler@eastlongmeadowma.gov. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Stories from the View.